Fishing tips for still water where big fish lurk. Hello, fishing fanatics. Happy new day, and welcome back to Fishing 24 Hours. Your ultimate channel for practical fishing tips, tricks, and stories that make every trip legendary. Have you ever noticed, on the same river, fast-moving rapids are full of small fish darting around? But in still water, like behind a rock, at a bend, or at the end of a current, that's where the big fish hide. I used to overlook those quiet spots, thinking fish only hung out in rushing water, but a lesson from a seasoned angler changed my game. Today, we'll dive into fishing tips for still water, where big fish lurk, to help you hook monster catches and fill your bucket. This happened on the banks of the Mississippi River, near Memphis. One cool morning, I picked a spot with fast water, casting for an hour, but my float just sat there, not a wiggle. Ready to move, I met Joe, a grizzled angler with years of experience. He eyed my setup, grinned, and pointed to a calm eddy near some cattails, saying, "Big fish don't mess with fast currents. They hang in still water, waiting for food to drift in. Want a trophy catch? Follow me over there." I took his advice, adjusted my float to sink the bait near the bottom, and cast into the quiet water. In under 10 minutes, my float danced. I set the hook, and a 6-pound largemouth bass thrashed the surface. The rush was unreal, like I'd cracked a fishing code. That day taught me still water is a goldmine for anglers. In this video, we'll explore why big fish love still water, how to choose bait, casting techniques, prime fishing spots, and tips to avoid common mistakes. I've got 2 real-life stories from the US to inspire you, plus practical fishing techniques and beginner fishing tips to master still water fishing. These tricks work in rivers, lakes, ponds, or canals across America, from the Mississippi to Lake Fork. For species like carp, crappie, catfish, and bass, grab a cold soda, get comfy, and let's dive into catching big fish in still water. Why big fish hide in still water? Why do big fish lurk in still water? 3 main reasons. First, big fish conserve energy, avoiding fast currents to rest in calm spots while waiting for food to drift by. Monster carp, catfish, or bass love these low fort zones. Second, still water collects natural food, like insects, minnows, or worms, swept into eddies, bends, or behind rocks by currents. Third, fish in still water are less skittish, as quiet areas have less noise and disturbance, making them bolder to bite. These factors make still water a hotspot for big catches. Many anglers focus on fast-moving water, thinking big fish chase active currents, but small fish dominate there, while trophies like catfish or bass hide in calm pockets. Understanding this lets you target the right spots, pick bait they can't resist, and cast smartly to lure big fish. With these still water fishing tips, you'll turn dead water into a trophy zone, even with other anglers nearby. Let's jump into practical techniques to hook those monsters. Choosing bait for still water fishing, selecting the right bait is key in still water. Big fish here crave natural, strong-scented baits that stay on the hook. Use night crawlers, live minnows, shad guts, or dough baits with fishy smells. For carp and catfish, night crawlers, 2 to 4 inches long, are top picks hooked to wiggle naturally. Live minnows hooked through the back to swim work great for crappie and bluegill. For bass, try live shad or soft plastic lures like worms or crawfish imitations. These baits match what fish eat in still water. For trophy fish, choose fresh, durable baits. For catfish, use shad guts or chicken liver mixed with cornmeal to keep the scent strong. Dough baits, like cornmeal mixed with fish oil, create a food cloud that draws carp. Since still water lacks current to spread scent, use baits with potent aromas. Ensure baits are fresh, not spoiled, to avoid spooking fish. These choices make your bait irresistible, boosting your chances of landing big fish in still water. Casting techniques for still water. Casting in still water requires finesse. Drop your bait near the bottom or at the edge where flowing water meets calm, as big fish lurk at these boundaries. Use a light sinker, about 1/16 to 1/8 ounce, to keep bait steady or drifting naturally. Set your float so the bait sits 2 to 4 inches off the bottom for carp or catfish, or 2 to 4 feet up for midwater, crappie. Avoid twitching the rod too much. Let the bait look natural, like food drifting in. For bass with lures, use a slow retrieve. Pause, pull, pause technique. Reel quickly for a few seconds, stop to create ripples, then reel again to trigger strikes. For carp or catfish, wait for the float to dip fully or pull steadily before setting the hook gently. For crappie, set the hook fast when the float jerks. For bass, strike when the water splashes. These freshwater fishing techniques ensure solid hook sets, minimizing lost fish in still water. Picking prime stillwater fishing spots. Finding the right spot in still water is crucial. Look for areas behind rocks, fallen trees, or eroded banks where water stays calm and food collects. The tail end of a current where light swirls form is a hot spot, as big fish wait there for prey. In ponds or lakes, target wind-sheltered corners with flat water, often near cattails or lily pads. These spots attract big fish and make it easier to watch your float. On rivers like the Mississippi, seek calm eddies at bends or behind boulders where carp and catfish gather. In lakes like Lake Fork, target grass beds or shaded coves. Watch for bubbles, ripples, or fish shadows to spot active fish. Casting in these prime areas at the right depth will get your float moving faster than you expect, making stillwater fishing a trophy hunt. Best times for stillwater fishing. Timing is everything in stillwater. Carp and catfish feed heaviest early morning from 4:30 to 7 a.m. or late afternoon, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., scouring the bottom. Crappie and bluegill are active midday or after rain when insects drift into calm pockets. Bass hunt best at dusk or night, stalking surface prey. Cloudy days or post-rain periods are ideal, as fish are less wary. These times maximize your chances of hooking big fish. Check water conditions to pick the right moment. Murky water signals active bottom feeders like catfish. Clear water, especially after rain, favors surface hunters like bass. Flat ripple-free water indicates a still water zone where big fish lurk. Timing your casts to these conditions in the right spots sets you up for monster catches in stillwater fishing. Tips to boost your stillwater catch. To up your game, try chumming lightly before casting. For carp, scatter cornmeal or breadcrumbs near your spot. Wait 10 to 15 minutes for fish to gather. For crappie, sprinkle fish meal or small worms to create a food cloud. For bass, toss a few minnows near weeds to stir them up. Chum sparingly to avoid overfeeding, keeping fish hungry for your bait. This turns still water into a feeding frenzy, boosting your catch rate. Another tip is staying quiet. Stillwater spots are often near banks, so loud noises or shadows on the water spook fish, especially bass and crappie. Use a sensitive rod, strong line 8 to 12-pound test for bass, and a thin float, checking for wear. If no bites after 15 minutes, adjust depth or move to another calm pocket, like from the bottom to the current's edge. These fishing techniques make stillwater a trophy zone. Real-life story, Lake Fork Triumph. Here's another story to show the power of stillwater fishing. At Lake Fork in Texas, I saw a group of anglers crowded on a windy bank with waves rippling across. They cast into moving water, catching small fish. I chose a quiet cove behind a grass bed where the water was mirror flat. They laughed, saying, "That's dead water. No fish there." But 20 minutes later, I landed 2 huge carp, each over 4 pounds. The group gasped. "So that's where the big ones hide?" That day, I added a catfish to my bucket, feeling on top of the world with stillwater's magic. Pro tips for stillwater fishing. To fish like a pro in stillwater, preparation is key. Bring varied baits, night crawlers, minnows, dough baits, to test what works. Use a sensitive rod, strong line, and responsive float, checking for wear. Watch for bubbles, ripples, or fish shadows to locate big fish. Cast at the right depth, use the right bait, and time your hook set. Polarized sunglasses help spot fish in clear, still water. In busy areas, find a quiet corner to keep fish calm. Adjust baits for conditions, using tougher baits like liver at current edges or slower dissolving dough in flat water. If your float's still, switch baits, like from worms to minnows, or move a few feet to another eddy. These freshwater fishing tips let you dominate still water, hooking trophy fish with ease. Safety tips for stillwater fishing. Safety is critical in stillwater. These spots are often near trees, rocks, or eroded banks, slippery after rain. Avoid standing on soft, crumbling edges to prevent falls. On big rivers like the Mississippi, watch for hidden currents or eddies, and don't let your rod slip. Always wear a life jacket in deep water. Keep noise low, as big fish in still water spook easily. These fishing safety tips ensure a fun, worry-free trip, letting you focus on landing big catches. Beginner fishing tips for stillwater new to fishing. Stillwater is a great place to start. Try a lake for carp with night crawlers near the bottom behind a rock, or fish crappie in a canal with minnows mid-water. Note where bites come, like bass near lily pads. Don't stress missed sets. Practice waiting for the right dip. Stillwater fishing hones observation and patience, building skills for big catches, perfect for beginner fishing tips. To improve, practice casting at the right depth, twitching for mid-water fish, or retrieving lures for bass. Spend trips at rivers, lakes, or marshes, timing hook sets. Use fresh baits like fatworms or lively minnows. In crowded spots, pick a quiet nook to keep fish calm. These techniques make you a stillwater pro, even as a beginner. Conclusion: master stillwater fishing for trophy catches. Fishing isn't always about chasing fast currents. Sometimes, the quiet, dead water holds the biggest fish. 3 words: calm, deep edge. Every cast in the right spot, at the right depth. At the right time feels like unlocking a fish vault. When the float dips slow, my heart races, hands grip the rod. That's a moment only anglers get. Whether you're new or seasoned, these stillwater fishing tips will make you a master of any spot, hooking monster fish. That's it, folks. We've covered fishing tips for stillwater, from bait choices to casting techniques and prime spots, plus how to avoid mistakes. I hope you're pumped to try these techniques. Hit like, share with your fishing crew, and subscribe to Fishing 24 Hours for more killer fishing tips. Got a stillwater fishing story from America's rivers or lakes? Drop it in the comments. I'm all ears. Tight lines and big catches. See you next time.